Welcome back to Newsline. Now, the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference, commonly known as COP30, opened a few hours ago in Belem in the Brazilian state of Praia. Sonai, would you give us the details on this event?
Yes, Tuiling. So as now COP30 against aim puts to the fight against climate change back in the center of international priorities. This year's conference is expected to mark a turning point from commitment to action as the world faces increasingly severe impacts of climate change. Our correspondent Tung Thu is on the ground in Brazil with more story. Hello, Tung Thu. So the first question for you is, what is the atmosphere like right now?
Hello from Belem, Brazil, where the world's attention is turning to the Amazon. COP30 began with a captivating performance titled The Corn from the Amazon, an indigenous dance evoking the voice of the forest and the aspiration to protect the planet. The performance deeply moved to the audience, delivering the message that protecting the climate means protecting life. With the participation of ministers and high-ranking officials from nearly 200 countries, the conference focused on three key themes: climate adaptation, just transition, and the global subject under the Paris Agreement. In his opening remarks, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said that nations to turn their promise into concrete action, especially in climate finance and protection of the Amazon rainforest, the green lungs of the planet.
Yes, that's such an inspiring start. So how about Vietnam's presence at the COP30?
Representing Vietnam, the delegation led by Ministry of Agriculture and Environment has brought forward new initiatives from financial partnership and green technology transfer through adaptation projects in the Mekong deltas, one of the regions most vulnerable to rising seas. Vietnam reaffirmed its commitment to the principles of common but differentiated responsibility, standing with the global community in pursuit of net zero emissions by 2050. Here in Belem, the heat is rising not just from the tropical Amazon air, but from the urgency and high expectations for the meaningful climate action. We continue to bring you updates from COP30 in the coming days. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Tung Thu, for your updates. So within the frameworks of COP30 now underway in Brazil, countries are stepping up cooperation to find practical, cost-effective solutions to cut global emissions. A major new carbon market initiative has just been adopted at the Belem's Climate Summit. The Open Coalitions on Compliance Carbon Markets brings together 10 nations and the European Union, including Brazil, China and United Kingdom, Germany and Canada. The coalition also remains open to new signatories. The coalition aims to enhance collaboration on carbon pricing systems, monitoring and verification standards, and rules governing the use of high-integrity carbon credits. It also seeks to empower developing nations to join compliance markets, offering a transparent and cost-effective pathway to meet their Paris Agreement targets. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, scaling up compliance carbon markets could cut the global cost of emissions reductions by 40 to 60% by 2030. So what are the key principles needed to build integrity and trust in carbon trading system? And how might these developments shape opportunities for countries like Vietnam in the years ahead? Joining us now is Dr. Inge Johnstone, fellow researcher at Oxford Net Zero University of Oxford. Dr. Johnstone is attending the full 2 weeks of COP30, where she's hosting and attending a range of events related to international carbon markets on behalf of University of Oxford. So Brazil's initiative to form a voluntary coalitions of countries on carbon markets could make COP30 a real turning point. So from a global perspective, what key legals and governing principles should this new framework include to ensure carbon markets are transparent, fair, and credible?
So what's really exciting about this new era of carbon markets is the opportunity to learn the lessons from the previous decades of practice, the first being environmental integrity. So this means ensuring that carbon credits actually deliver the ton of reduction or removals that they promise. Secondly, it's also critical that the best available science is utilized. But equally, it matters to deliver this with fairness and equity. And so, as part of this, we can also expect further safeguards for local communities, as well as the very first grievance mechanism set up under an international carbon market mechanism under the Paris Agreement crediting mechanism.
So with the outcomes of COP30 expected to shape the next phase of global climate action, how do you see the carbon market evolving worldwide in the coming years?
So while the rules and standards guiding Article 6 have largely been negotiated since COP26 back in Glasgow, it is true that we're now entering an era during COP30 where we're exploring what the opportunities that Article 6 transactions can bring. And in particular, its opportunity to help connect domestic voluntary carbon market systems as well as compliance based systems, including emissions trading schemes.
So looking at Vietnam, what opportunities do you think this could open up for Vietnamese businesses, investors, and other stakeholders as well?
So the Vietnamese government has already taken strides in order to announce a pilot emissions trading scheme. For Vietnamese businesses, I see three key opportunities in this new era of converging carbon markets. The first being the opportunity to attract new forms of climate cooperation. It's also incredibly important that Vietnam utilizes its first mover credibility within the region. Third, this creates the opportunity for Vietnamese businesses to be better equipped in order to respond to carbon pricing measures across the globe. Understanding the growing convergence of carbon pricing can help ensure that Vietnamese businesses are best poised to meet the challenge and opportunity that they pose into the future.
Yes, thank you very much for your insight.